Today we're going to talk about two specific serial killers who met their end from their victims, or captives. These are the stories of when the prey becomes predator. When most think of serial killers, I'm pretty sure the terror they could inflict may be what comes to mind. As you're soon to find out though, every so often these terrifying men just don't terrify some enough to lay down their guard and die. The anatomy of the fight or flight response is triggered as a weaponry defense against intense situations. The truth is, when our lives, or our loved ones, are put in jeopardy, we can do a lot more than we ever believed we could. Like the woman who saved her baby, while a car rolling down a hill headed straight for the woman and the child, the woman single-handedly stopped the car at only inches before it crushed the stroller carrying her child. And the wife of a young man who was crushed when a vehicle fell on him while performing a tire change. The woman was only 139 pounds, and lifted a 2-ton truck up off her husband, holding it waist-high for almost 2 minutes, before the injured man could slide out of the way of the vehicle. There is plethora of these stories I could share, where when our fight or flight response triggers and superhuman moments are born. Today we're going to meet two individuals who were put in the fight or flight situation, coming face to face with evil, and left with a choice: fight or die. Make sure you watch this video all the way through, as you have to see exactly what happens with the last family. If you believe I should do more videos like these, please let me know in the comments below.
Before diving into this further, you are tuning into Coffee with History. If solved, unsolved, heroic, or just plain mysterious is your thing, make sure to join us as we go back in time and discover the past. On this channel we will post about anything we find notable. We are always up for suggestions, just drop them in the comments, for a chance to be featured in future videos if we end up covering your subject. Without further ado, this is today's harrowing tale.
The prey that became predator. Number 1. Neal Martin Falls. Born in September 24, 1969, he was an American suspected serial killer. He was suspected of traveling the country with a list of women to kill. The list was formed from online websites where women offer a date for money. Most of all of the women on his lists were from random parts and corners of the country. The one date he would wish he didn't take was with a girl from Charleston, West Virginia. Neal met Heather Saul, a woman who was advertising dates for money on the internet. Neal arrived at Heather's residence July 18, 2015, after having chatted online for a few days. According to Heather, it was not sex or anything casual that Neal wanted. Neal had come with a gun and a plan. Within seconds of entering the home, Heather knew this was not going to be any date like she was used to. Neal entered the home and pulled the gun, almost immediately after peeking into every room for just a moment, ensuring they were alone. Once satisfied they were alone, Neal went to work. Neal put the gun to Heather's side and asked her, "Do you want to live or die?" Neal then told Heather he was going to prison for a very long time, and there was no doubt about that. And it would be her option what the prison sentence would be for: sexual assault or murder. Heather made a quick reaction and decided she was going to fight back. The fight ensued as she scratched and clawed him in the face, as well as attempting to hit him in the groin. The fight took them into the kitchen, where Neal would end up on top of her, choking her with one hand and fighting off her attempts to escape with the other. Realizing that her life was fading, she reached for anything near and ended up with a small handheld rake in her hand. She made a few swipes at Neal with the rake. It was enough for her to slowly begin to breathe again, as he released his grip to back away from the rake. Neal decided he was going to let her up at this point. Heather stood up quickly and dropped the rake. Neal immediately took the opportunity to grab her by the throat and begin choking her once again. In the midst of this scuffle, Neal, who was holding the gun at first, had put the gun down on the table, while he was strangling Heather on the kitchen floor. Heather, while being choked from behind, made a jolt forward, grabbing the gun on the table, and put it right behind her head and fired. Neal collapsed immediately to the floor. Heather, who was not sure of the damage she had done, ran out of the house screaming for help, getting the attention of the neighbors. Police arrived and saw that Neal was dead. Heather was treated as a murder suspect at first, she was taken to the police interrogation room, where she told police everything about Neal and how she met him. Police began investigating the claims Heather made about Neal. They uncovered she was telling the truth when they opened the door of Neal's car. They found multiple pairs of handcuffs, shovels, axes, along with various size knives and bulletproof vests, and in the back passenger seat a Rubbermaid tub. One of the detectives would be noted saying, "This guy has a classic kill kit in his car. Who drives around with bleach, handcuffs, cutting tools, and a Rubbermaid tub that is big enough for me." Number 2. William Wayne Nance. Wayne Nathan Nance, born on October 18, 1955, he would grow up to leave a trail of terror in his wake, which consisted of murder and brutal sexual assaults, with a possible host of other crimes that police were unable to fully connect him with. William Wayne Nance would become known as the Missler Mauler, an American serial killer in the state of Montana. William is suspected of starting his killing spree in 1974, where William is believed to have sexually assaulted and murdered a middle-aged woman named Donna Pounds. Pounds had been held captive in her basement, tied to a chair, and shot. William, an acquaintance of the victim's teenage son, was seen in the victim's backyard about the time of Pounds' death, and was questioned by police, who at the time could not find firm evidence linking him to the crime. Even though William was nearly caught, he was by no means deterred from continuing his path of murder and mayhem. In January 1980, the badly decomposed body of 15-year-old Devonna Nelson was discovered on a road bank close to the city of Missoula. Because of the condition of the body, her remains were not identified until February 1985. Prior to her identity being confirmed, she was dubbed Betty Beavertail, after the nearby Beavertail Hill State Park. William is suspected to have left 4 more victims in the wake of his crime sprees. One of the suspected murders was that of Janet Lucas, 23. She was found in Missoula, Montana, with 2 .32 caliber bullets in her skull. Likewise, her body was so far into decomposition that before the identity of her body was discovered, she was given a nickname, Christy Crystal Creek, based on her being found near Crystal Creek. One of William's most vicious attacks would take place in Ravalli County, Montana, which was only 60 miles south of Missoula, where the bodies of the girls were found. William broke into the home of Michael and Teresa Shook, immediately pulled a gun. Without any hesitation he shot Teresa in the leg, and he hit Michael over the head with a blunt object. He then tied the two up and stabbed a knife through the chest of Michael, which sadly ended his life. William then proceeded to put the younger children of the couple into their cribs, took Teresa into the master bedroom, sexually assaulted her and then stabbed her through the chest, effectively ending her life. William, with great concern he may have left evidence behind, decided to light a fire, and to leave the children and the other 2 victims to burn to death. The Lord was definitely looking out for the little ones. The neighbors noticed the flames and came to the children's rescue, getting there before the fire fully engulfed the home. Another of the suspected victims of William was found 3 months later. She was never fully identified and was only known as Debbie Deer Creek. She was given the nickname like the others because of her location. On September 3, 1986, William attempted to murder Doug and Chris Wells. William worked at the Wells Furniture Moving Company and engaged Doug in friendly conversation while they were in the front yard of his home. William asked if he could borrow a flashlight, and after Doug invited him inside, William struck Doug in the head before tying up both him and Chris. William tied Doug up and led him to the basement, where he beat him and stabbed Doug in the chest, leaving him to die. Williams forced Chris into the bedroom on the 2nd floor to sexually assault her. Although badly wounded, Doug managed to free himself and load 1 bullet in a rifle he had been repairing. Doug staggered up to the 2nd floor where his wife was being assaulted in their bedroom. William heard Doug coming out of the basement, and the 2 further engaged in a physical altercation, ending with Doug shooting and incapacitating William. William, Doug, and Chris were rushed to a hospital, where Doug and Chris made full recoveries. William's injuries proved fatal, and he died the following day. After the incident, authorities investigated William's background and other crimes, initially noting similarities between the Wells incident and the murders of Michael and Teresa Shook. William was found through investigation to connected in one or the other to a long list unsolved murders and crimes. These two heroes stood up against evil, giving these two vile men a small taste of what they had been doing to others. One can never say what we might or might not do with certainty, however, hopefully we can all learn to not be victims from these stories. And remember, never lay down, fight back, it just might save your life. Thank you for joining us here at Coffee with History. Since you made it this far, hit that like and subscribe button for multiple uploads weekly. Now check out some of our other videos by clicking one of the links above. Thank you all and God bless.